things that got removed but never should have got. Yeah, it's a topic that fits to Rockstar and GTA like a glove. It would be proper hard to find another game series with that amount of cut content. And even though on one hand it's good, because the developers got rid of many gigabytes of some unnecessary crap, on the other hand, many great features also got thrown in a bin. Cause things like Peds calling the feds at the phone booth, dating a very sexy girl in Mercedes Cortez, or crafting Molotovs at the gas stations in San Andreas are the things that we would like to see in the final games, and that never made it. All we got left is to admire the fact that the developers, during some stage of development, had such ideas in mind, and we'll find a whole lot of things like that in almost every part. Alright, so in terms of the 2D universe and the game that ended it, so GTA 2, it's actually hard to find something really interesting, but when it comes to GTA 1, it's a goldmine of beta content. So first, a little history class. The GTA concept has been actually formed during the development of a different game, Race and Chase. I reckon that this name rings a bell for many of you. In this game, players were meant to play as cops and robbers, but the developers quickly realized that no one enjoyed playing as a cop as much, and everybody wanted to be a thief. This observation later turned out to be crucial in further development, as we all know what each part of GTA is about, and who we impersonate in them, and how insignificant in the games are the vigilante missions. However, to not get into details, cause it's not the main topic of today's video, the thing that is important is that GTA was very close to never being released. The publisher, so BMG Interactive, a few times were close to canceling the project, as the development process was very slow, and there were many question marks over whether the game was ever going to be made usable. Eventually, however, after the postponed release date, GTA came out, but without many cool features that were initially planned to be introduced. Boats, helicopters, animals, and even children are just a few very interesting elements of gameplay that were meant to be implemented, but we'll never actually encounter them after launching the game. But the thing that is missing the most is the weather system. Cause like in the US cities on which the locations in the game are based, it's never a case that it never rains or there are no storms. It seems that the developers were also well aware of that because the documentation of the first part of GTA clearly indicates that. See, in it, we can find a clear note that both snow and rain were to make an appearance, as were storms, during which the game would probably turn darker and the screen would have a cool flashing effect. Really nice stuff as for those times. Unfortunately, they didn't make it to the final version. In GTA 3, choosing just one thing that I would like to be added back by the developers is next to impossible. It's been very difficult since the release of the design document that was mentioned many times on the channel already. In it, we'll find a huge amount of information about the beta, or actually, even the alpha content. The developer's ambition in terms of the in-game world was indeed very impressive. In the document, Rockstar lists all the districts and important locations in the city, as well as their characteristics. For instance, the developers initially wanted to give us lively bus stops and train stations. At the train stations, we were supposed to be able to hear announcements, just like in GTA 4.
The train approaching is the C train, bound for West Park Station.
And additionally, we were to be given the possibility to transport passengers, both on a bus and on a train. As a fun fact, I'll tell you that we can transport passengers on a bus in GTA Vice City, although not many know about this hidden odd job. And in terms of the train driver missions, those were only introduced in GTA San Andreas. So it's cool that at least the developers managed to realize these ideas in the future titles. Going further, Claude was meant to be able to steal cars for some strange owner of the car crusher and do pimping missions for a pimp called JJ that we could meet in the red light district. Where else, right? Moreover, in Liberty City, just as later in Vice City and San Andreas, there was meant to be a military base where Claude would collect jobs from a certain major. And believe me, all that I just said is just the tip of the iceberg. Either way, if I was to choose something, actually, I'd kinda have to, as that's what this video is about, I would choose two mysterious locations that were meant to appear in Portland, namely a power plant and a chemical plant. These facilities were to live their own life and not just be a randomly placed element of the environment that just fills the empty space. See, in the area of these structures, we were meant to be able to encounter some workers or to hear some cautionary noises. These were to be present in the power plant, to be precise. All that's left is to add some nuclear stuff to do with the plant, and it would be two other mythical locations that players would immediately begin to investigate and make up various creepy stories to verify. In Vice City, however, even though there's a lot of cut content here as well, the most missing part is definitely a location named Gator Keys that in a way would play the role of a sort of a countryside. It would be a great stepping stone from the glamour of the city and would definitely diversify the in-game world. Additionally, in a place like this, there would surely be room for some cool business to purchase by Tommy. After all, Gator Keys was most definitely based on the Florida Keys, an archipelago situated south of Miami. It would be a perfect location for Tommy to build a boatyard there to collect all the drugs coming from the south. From one of the in-game adverts, we know that a certain high-class housing complex called Shady Acres, owned by Avery Carrington, is most likely located in Gator Keys. This, in turn, would be a brilliant opportunity to add some fancy-ass mansion there with a lot of garages, pools, and more. As if that weren't enough, we can find out from the game files that one of the cut missions for Avery assumed chaperoning one of his people right to Gator Keys. So it's a big shame that despite such potential, in the end, the developers abandoned this concept. GTA San Andreas contains even more cut content. Initially, the game was even meant to be distributed on 2 separate discs, obviously because of its above average size. However, unfortunately, because of all the cuts, San Andreas in the end fit on a single CD. Getting to the heart of the matter though, it's certainly a big shame that the developers got rid of the initial idea for locating Big Smoke at the end of the story. I'm talking about the all-terrain takedown mission. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. In the final version of the game, in order to unlock the last mission, we have to take over 35% of the gang territory in Los Santos. Once we do it, Sweet will call us that apparently the Vagos started talking and that they squealed that Smoke hides in East Los Santos. Thanks to that, we can go there and mash him up.
Carl is Sweet.
Hey, what's up? You find Smoke?
After we dumped on those ballers, the Vargos started to speak. We got him now. He's hiding in Los Flores or East Los Santos. Time to saddle up, CJ.
All right, I'll get you and then we'll roll over there.
Yeah, it sounds like some fairy tale about dragons and a tasty Brussels sprout. However, the mission All-Terrain Takedown assumed first finding some Russian cat that Big Bear heard about, then beating him up a little so he squeals about where Smoke's hiding his fat ass. After acquiring this information, saying that Smoke is holed up in his palace in East Los Santos, a player would then have to take over just a few Vagos neighborhoods surrounding the palace in order to unlock the end of the line mission. Damn, I don't know, but in my opinion, that just simply makes more sense. Anyway, that's all just fun facts. Cause for me, what's most missing from this game is the ability to furnish your safe houses. Rockstar gave us a whole lot of hideouts in the game. However, some of them look identical to each other. It would certainly be very nice to be able to tamper with their interiors a bit. So initially, you were meant to be able to go visit one of the furniture stores and buy some furniture for your crib. The only leftovers in the game are just some strings with unused stats, like, for instance, furniture budget, as well as names of 5 furniture shops where we would buy these gadgets. I don't know about you, but for me, it would be a fantastic option that would allow us to customize yet another element of the game. It would diversify the look of the safe houses. Plus, it would be another interesting way to spend money that we earn quite a lot at a certain stage of the story. In GTA Liberty City Stories, the thing that's missing the most is undoubtedly snow. We already covered this topic on the channel, namely why no GTA part has a snow setting. It's quite strange really, because even if maybe in some Vice City or Los Santos, the snow wouldn't really fit. But in Liberty City, snow can create a magical atmosphere. Snow would also fix GTA LCS's biggest problem, so the lack of innovations. This would just be great. I think the best proof of that is the mod for GTA 3 called Frosted Winter, where we discover a sad story of Joey Leone that we're witnessing in a snowy atmosphere. Snow was partially implemented to GTA Liberty City Stories, but we can only enable it once per walkthrough on the 9th level of the car salesman side mission, so that's not particularly satisfying. In GTA VCS, it's a shame about a certain side mission in which Vic would become a security guard in the shopping mall. A player's task would be to catch shoplifters for a duration of a shift. The mission would be failed if during a shift, the thieves stole merchandise of a value above the one set by the game. But despite the fact that this minigame seems to be something really cool, it's not as good as a cut thread involving Leo Teal, which would be so important in the context of GTA Vice City. So in Vice City Stories, initially, we were able to complete 5 missions for Leo Teal. If someone doesn't remember who Leo Teal is, he's a chef whom we kill in the mission Back Alley Brawl, right before we meet this halfwit, Lance. Teal was a contract killer working for Mr. Black and also was involved in the drug trafficking for Ricardo Diaz. Also, he most likely was one of the assassins that matched up the deal in Viceport at the beginning of the game. It's a big shame that it got cut. Had it not been the case, we'd be able to discover the background of this whole thread. Perhaps it would reveal some crucial facts in the context of the deal in the docs. And on top of that, Teal was an original one. Bro was a bisexual crossdresser, so it could get pretty funny at times. Who knows? Maybe we would witness similar scenes to the one in which we see a dude in women's underwear, so obviously an almighty congressman, Alex Shrub. In terms of GTA 4 and the things that were cut, it's certainly a shame about the ability to trick your whip, just like in Transfender or Los Santos Customs. Some say that this feature was removed because it wouldn't fit the protagonist, Nico, who wasn't particularly interested in racing or cars in general. And yeah, of course, that kind of makes sense, but we actually do have a racing thread for Brucey, so it's a shame really. Even aside from the fact that tuning cars in GTA is just an added value to almost everyone and doesn't interfere with anything at all. The next thing we're going to talk about is the cut ability to play video games with friends. In the game, we'll find many cut audio files as well as animations that clearly indicate that such a possibility was initially meant to be available to us in the game. Another thing that sounds cool are two alternative means of communication between some islands. One of them was meant to be a cable car, similar to the one from GTA 5 at Mount Chiliad, only that here it would take us to another part of the city. The second form of communication was meant to be ferries, and it all sounds really nice, and it surely wouldn't interfere. The question is, would it really be utilized by players, considering that we've got taxis that can take us from one end of the city to another in just the blink of an eye? Going to the thing that for me is missing the most, and which was initially to be included, it would be a silenced pistol. It would brilliantly fit in the narrative of the game. Plus, it would open new possibilities for developers. Cause like the vast majority of missions on GTA 4 is that either we go and kill someone or we go and kill someone. Yeah, well, Nico is a hitman basically, so the dark atmosphere of the city in connection with some stealth mechanism with the use of such a gadget as a silenced pistol sounds like a fantastic idea. So I don't get why Rockstar scrapped that concept. It would be a weapon that would add to the already great atmosphere and allow many alternative solutions of completing certain missions at different stages of the story. In the DLC to GTA 4 called The Lost and Damned, the developers have made the weirdest of decisions in my opinion concerning the end of the game. I'm talking about the Get Lost mission, which in its original concept looked exactly as it should have. In the final version, we gather up a crew and we, by force, break into a high-security correctional facility, kill dozens of guards, cops, and SWAT soldiers only to kill Billy Gray. Then we leave as if nothing ever happened. Wanted level goes away as soon as we leave the prison. Like, come on. Alright, like it's cool to have a good old-fashioned gangbang, but in terms of realism, this mission don't make sense one bit. It's just too unhinged, even for GTA. The initial concept made a lot more sense, cause as it turns out, Johnny was meant to disguise as a laundry worker and in this way gain access to the facility. Moreover, in the prison, we can find an unused hall, which was probably created for this concept. So I don't get it really why this initial concept was abandoned. Maybe I'm just weird, so let me know if I'm talking nonsense that this initial idea was a lot better and more rational. In the ballad, well, there are no fireworks if it comes to beta content, so I ain't gonna try to make a mountain out of a molehill here. In GTA Chinatown Wars, beta content is almost non-existent, for one simple reason. The game has been made initially for Nintendo DS, which limited the size of the game to just 512 megabytes. This forced the developers to optimize the code to the limits, and that is to delete every unnecessary file, erase every unnecessary line of code, and leave only the absolute essentials. Hence, in the game files of this particular game, the developers, against their tradition, haven't left anything interesting to discover. And now it's time for GTA 5, where in my opinion, Rockstar cut something that, in a way, made up the foundations for the whole game's story. I'm talking about the Sharmuta job here, so the heist in which we rob Madrazo's mansion, just like Trevor wanted in the Caída Libre mission. This heist was actually in an advanced stage of development. We had 3 different approaches. One of them assumed creeping up into the house at night. In the second one, we were to disguise as mime artists and commit the robbery at one of the parties. In the third one, also during a party, but this time we were to dress up as clowns. Our objective was to steal the stuff from Adrazo's safe, and optionally to steal some of his antiques. Also to kidnap Martin's wife, Patricia. And what's probably the most interesting, to snatch his horse. That's right, horses are another thing cut from this game. Some leftovers in the game, such as police scanner audio files, one of the TV adverts, or the unused LOD texture, suggest that horses were initially to make an appearance in GTA 5, and that we would even be able to ride them. Similarly, like in one of the other Rockstar games, Red Dead Redemption. There's also the unused icon of the lasso that probably has something to do with the horses. On top of that, we've got a dirt track for horses in GTA 5, situated in the north part of Los Santos. Just imagine, in San Andreas, we could only bet on horse races and watch them on some little monitor in the machine. And here, if we were able to watch such a race live, hell, or even participate in one, for me, it sounds amazing. Unfortunately, as with all the things mentioned today, all we got left is to speculate and dream. To cheer up a bit after this kind of a bittersweet video, I recommend you to watch the video about the dumbest missions in GTA that, in theory, look pretty innocent. Also, don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss any upcoming episodes revolving around the GTA world. Meanwhile, I'm saying goodbye. Take care and see you soon.